to being in the Army, to traveling, to unfortunately becoming homeless, which is something that I've been through, and it's tough. But the only thing is, it's a matter of will, and matter how strong you are to get through every single challenge. Hey, what's up?
What is good? Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
What is?
So what's been up? How's your day going?
My day's been pretty eventful. I'm just like writing down all my goals, my affirmations, and things I want to do this week, as far as like my photography and everything else that is included.
That's dope. So I want to ask you,
Yeah.
when did you decide to move to LA in the first place?
You know, I get that question a lot. People don't really believe me, but it is based off my intuition.
But something,
wasn't like-
something must have like triggered you, something you gravitated towards.
Yeah, because I don't know, I want to progress in the way that I need to progress, and life has been handling things in the right way. And sometimes when you're approached with fear,
Yeah.
sometimes going against that fear is actually the best choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I did, the next second I did, and I've been ever so progressing since then.
That's amazing. And where are you originally from?
From Philly, East Coast to West Coast.
Yeah. And how are your days now looking like in LA? What are you doing now that you came from Chicago to LA? What was something major that you were trying to target being here?
I'm a person that goes with the flow and to see what's going on in the current life and the future life. I don't really look at the past. The only way I would look at the past is like what I've been through and how far I came. But I'm a simple but complicated person going through that.
How do you consume Gary a lot? GaryVee?
Yeah, consciously and subconsciously.
Expand on that.
You know, when you're trying to learn a new habit consciously, you have to do it on a consistent basis to understand it well enough to do it subconsciously, or within a natural state.
Yeah.
So I've been watching his content as well as other people's throughout the years, and little by little, it just became second nature, aka known as the subconscious state.
Yeah.
Everything that he says, I do it in my own version. I don't copy him. Like, I can't copy anybody else's results, but I can only do my results, but with his general advice. Because obviously, the basic rule is that whatever somebody has, let me rephrase that. Whatever you want that someone has, you got to do what they're doing in order to have it. With that being said, you have to have a higher conscious state of thoughts and like have self-discipline as well. So that's what Gary talks about. Self-awareness, self-discipline, being consistent, fuck what everybody says, things like that. And little by little, I orchestrated that into my life, and that's where my biggest success has come from.
That's amazing. And do you
Just
follow
to don't give a fuck attitude.
And do you follow any of his specific like business advices, where you're able to apply it like in terms of making content and things like that?
For the most part, yeah. For the most part, no. I don't have a employee business, so I cannot implement any of that into my life. But the simple things like posting organically and creating connections and within the comments and document, not create, things that like those lessons that you have to learn in order to do social media right, instead of having expectations on what you want people to do, like not realizing your true potential within social media.
And one question that we touch on here on the podcast is, what's your story? Because we want the viewers to get to know you, and we want to get to know each other. So what would you say, what's your story? What's up?
Okay, so living in Philly, actually, let me backtrack a little bit. I've been in the military for 4 years, and that's actually one of many things that build me up mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and morally. I've been into the spiritual acquisition of like self-discipline for many, many years, and that's actually one thing that's really, really important to understand. Self. One of my favorite mentors, Alex Morton, he says that 95%, or maybe he got this advice from another person, but I heard it from him. But he said 95% of success is emotionally or spiritually, and 5% is physical. So what you have to understand is that you have to understand yourself before you understand your successes and what's going to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
So years throughout high school, growing up, adolescence, teenager to young adult, to being in the Army, to traveling, to unfortunately becoming homeless, which is something that I've been through, and it's tough. But the only thing is, it's a matter of will, and matter how strong you are to get through every single challenge and fix things that come, and not distracting yourself when it comes. I've been through a lot. I've been through Philly, New York, Chicago, Baltimore, Washington, Florida, Oklahoma, Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego, Phoenix, the different places that had a different environment, different culture, to where it taught me how to be diverse and adapt to environments. So little by little, I adapted to Los Angeles life, and I've just had to manifest my thoughts into fruition. And when fruition comes, you just got to act on it and say fuck fear, because fear is holding a lot of people back from doing big or small decisions.
What was your favorite place that you were living at out of all these places that you've traveled to?
To be honest, I really cannot pick favorites. Each place that I've been through and each part of my life taught me one or two things about either progression, myself, development, socially, or just in general. So, I mean, Philly taught me a lot growing up. Los Angeles taught me a lot going into Los Angeles life.
Yeah.
And throughout the Army, going to different places, it taught me a lot of different things about myself. So each place has its own version of development.
And what would you say, what's your favorite thing about currently living in LA that wasn't there in other places?
Diversity, pretty much. Like, a lot of people come from different states, and some people come from China, some people come from Egypt, some people come from Florida, Georgia, everywhere else.
Yeah.
And it's cool because people come with different stories and people come with different culture. And it's great to learn because you can actually be diverse yourself and learn from them. And also, there's a lot of opportunity here, really. As far as photography, art, music, design, architecture, landscape, psychology, philosophy, anything you can name. Or especially food. I'm a big foodie, so there's a lot of places here that are good to eat, and a lot of vegan options. It's a lot.
That's so cool. And was it easy for you to make friends and stuff here?
At first, yeah, because I didn't really know what I was doing in Los Angeles. I just took it day by day, and I didn't really focus on friends. I just focused on me and my development. And little by little, as life went on and my intuition came, I met people who helped me progress into the person I am today. So I really wouldn't, if somebody went to a new environment or new place, I really would recommend them not to focus on finding people, like finding friends, as much as finding yourself first.
Yeah, I feel like, but I've really been hearing this to develop a lot of human relationships, It's important to, I won't say necessarily make a community, but it's about who you know, So it's important for us to build those connections and very mutually value creating, so that I'm adding value to you and you adding value to me, so we can help each other progress. Otherwise it becomes, I wouldn't say lonely, but you're just so caught up in your own problems and your own struggles. But once you have a community of people where everyone's kind of doing the same thing and you guys are there to support each other, that really, I feel adds to the momentum.
Yeah, I mean, with that comes with the law of attraction. Law of attraction is people come to you. Wow, I'm totally messing this up.
No, I understand what you're saying. You attract.
Yeah, law of attraction.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then it goes back to my point, to where I would not focus on attracting people. I would focus on yourself, because the source is self, and you are who you are. I would totally focus on bettering and uplifting and motivating yourself to become the best person you are, so then you can attract the best people in your life. So, yeah.
I've actually really focused on myself because I was a really, really social person and always going out, always have people around, And once you have a lot of people around and you have a really busy schedule, you don't really get a lot of time to kind of take it all in and take a step back and, like you said, communicate with yourself. So you're actually becoming more self-aware, what is it that I like, what is it that I don't like. And I feel like past 2.5 years, I actually took that step back and kind of really isolated myself, because the more I was forming my vision, the more I was finding the people around me somehow didn't fit. And I absolutely isolated myself, totally immersed myself into educating about me, about business, about, how to make yourself better, learning about money and things like that. And one thing I've really come to realize is all that is really great and it really empowers you. You can continue to work on polishing yourself. But something for me, I've really realized that I really thrive off of people. I would be very happy when I learn something, but at the same time, when I have another person, so if I'm learning something, I want to share that. or be able to actually apply it in real life instead of it all becoming like an intellectual thing where I'm working on myself and like just keeping everything to myself. That is something I've found that it gets really lonely sometimes. And that is why I really focus that when I come to LA, I'm really gonna try meet as many people as I can, really form a lot of like dope connections. And because especially in LA, so many people speak about it's who you know. So it's very important to kind of grow your network. That is the kind of strategy I had in mind.
Yeah, and that's actually a good thing to focus on. Understanding other people's perspectives and culture and dynamics
Yeah.
is actually a good way to develop yourself as far as your culture and dynamics and perspective.
Yeah.
Manifest the right energy for people to attract to you. That's what I've been really focusing on myself. Unfortunately, there's not really many spiritual people in the world, and they don't really understand that implementing the right emotional structure and spiritual structure within themselves actually pushes them to their biggest benefit. Even myself, sometimes I go into the go, go, go mentality of always working, always doing something, always focusing on something, always go, go, go. But what you have to understand is that when you take a step back and have self-realization and self-actualization and self-awareness of you and your surroundings and your emotions, then you can actually perform at a higher level because you're not burnt out.
But I feel like a lot of people now are gravitating towards it and are being aware of how important it is to like connect with yourself. And even though being spiritually might not be cool or whatever, but people are trying to understand the mind, you know? I feel like it's not so much about the mental thing is different, like it's your brain performance, but spiritually is something connected to your mind. I feel like it's two different things, even though it's essentially the same, like the brain and the mind, but it's two different things. Mind is where the spirituality comes in, and that is where people started focusing on mental health and stuff because they're saying, I'm not happy, and really like now we've seen so many people who made a lot of money, got everything they wanted, but then they were still unhappy, and then the happiness essentially came from the people around you. What is the kind of experiences you're having in your life and things like that?
I mean, money doesn't solve everything. Pretty much. You can make $1 million and still be unhappy, like you said.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what I try to do in my own personal life is try to help as many people as possible, not giving too much energy that I don't have, but always trying to figure out how I can help them in a way that I can benefit them. For me, working food delivery, working DoorDash, Postmates, Uber Eats, Caviar, Grubhub, all that kind of stuff, it mostly taught me about being selfless, not selfish. That was actually a big benefit for me to learn to help other people instead of always figuring out, okay, how can I benefit off this? How can I, instead of how can you? And then once you help other people, then they gravitate towards helping you as well.
Yeah. And I had a lot of questions about LA specifically, so I'll shoot them at you.
Of course, go ahead.
Okay, so I wanted to ask, so I looked up a few places to live, and I wanted it to be a safe neighborhood because I keep hearing like LA has some not very safe neighborhoods. So I looked up at West Hollywood and downtown LA. I looked up at hostels, so it's going to be like one room and then there are a ton of people in, about like 6 or 7, and they're actually pretty good condition, and it was costing around, I would say, $20 a day. So would you think that's a good price, or do you think there are cheaper places one can look at?
Well, I lived in many different hostels in Los Angeles, and I know which ones are good and which ones are bad. I currently do live in West Hollywood on Melrose.
I saw them on Airbnb, and they looked like, I read the reviews and everything, and everyone said that they're pretty good, and they're clean, and they're nice, and the hosts are good. So where do you find your places on Airbnb?
I just do booking.com because I get a 50% discount on all my bookings and flights and everything. This isn't a sponsored message, so I ain't getting paid to say that.
Your audio is really coming like after you've spoken. That is why I'm just hearing intently. And
so I do pretty much majority of my bookings on booking.com, so Airbnb. I do get that 50% discount.
I see. So does everyone get a 50% discount, or you're special?
I wish I was special. When you book a lot of bookings on booking.com,
I see. So you have like those points. And what about the transportation and everything? I remember you spoke about it a little bit to me, telling me that there are buses and everything. But do people ride bikes there?
I mean, a lot of them, just like New York. I
No,
would
not like
totally,
bicycles,
I
but
would
like
kind of
those
say that.
two-wheeler scooter sort of things.
hmm Yeah, they do have a lot of them, like Line. I would say Metro is kind of reliable, kind of not reliable. So it just pretty much depends on what time you actually go.
Not reliable as in not safe
LA,
or technically.
no, it's safe, but it's like sometimes there's a lot of like homeless people on the bus, or weird people on the bus, people who cause problems, or just people who don't understand what a bus is. So just take precautions to riding on Metro.
Mm-hmm.
But I use it all the time. I have no problem with using the bus. I don't have a car.
Does it take you everywhere in the city?
Yeah, it takes you to like North Hollywood, West Hollywood, Hollywood. Takes you to Santa Monica, Venice, Koreatown, downtown. It takes you to East Los Angeles, like in the arts or fashion district, and like Long Beach too. And it takes you pretty much all around.
Talk about something that is the most important to you. It could be an incident, it could be an experience, it could be something you learned. So what would you say something that is the most important to you?
That's actually a good question. I mean, I've been through a lot of different experiences in my life, and been through like in the army, through school, been bullied before, been homeless, grown up that, losing my grandparents actually. That's one of like understanding. You gotta understanding death is kind of like a hard thing to really do.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like understanding that. I mean, I really couldn't pick one thing because everything else in my life that helped me to develop the person I am today and helped me to understand manifestation, spirituality is just a big, big ordeal. So I really couldn't pick one event. I would just pick like a lot of different events.
One thing that you would want to teach us, something that we can learn from you.
I would say life is easy, pretty much.
Life is
It's just
easy.
how life is easy. It's just how you react to the situations that come and what your perspectives are and how you can overcome each obstacle. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still alive. I'm still here. I'm still breathing. I'm still thinking. I still have my health. My heart's still beating because I persevered through every single obstacle that I faced within my 26, going on 27 years of my life. So whatever I can do, whatever I've been through, anybody else can do it. You know, fuck depression, fuck emotions, like everything else, everybody can do it because it's temporary. Like, emotions are temporary. You have to overcome every single thing in your life, pretty much. Like, emotions suck, depression sucks, anxiety sucks, stress sucks, fear, guilt, everything else sucks.
Yeah.
Totally understandable. I'm not knocking it or anything else like that. I've been through it too, so I'm not trying to say, like, I'm better.
Yeah.
But every single thing in life is manageable. Everything in life is the way you perceive it. And everything comes from self. So,
Yeah, I read somewhere this quote that said, "Mind is a skilled painter." That basically said that whatever image that you paint in your mind, you actually have the power to make it true. Because so much
everything in life came from a thought.
Yeah,
The
you know, it was
stone
all
came from a
creation
thought.
of the mind.
This
And for
art came from a thought. So everything that people think about becomes real, becomes reality. It creates energy. Therefore, when energy creates, it creates a situation. And when a situation comes, it creates an outcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And would you have any question for me? Would you like to ask anything?
I have no idea, really.
No.
I don't have any questions. I trust you, and I have absolute confidence that you're doing everything you can to maintain your emotions and maintain your progression within your life. I don't have any doubts or objections to what you're doing because you're doing everything you can in the possible moment that you are doing. So I don't have any questions.
Thank you so
I just
much.
have trust and faith that you're doing everything you can do in your possible moment. Yeah.
And the last question we ask everyone in the podcast is, what made you said yes to the podcast in the first place? It goes back to when we went live. What made you said yes?
Yeah.
Second would be, what was your experience like? And third would be, what could I have done better? So these three questions I want to throw at you.
Okay. Try to remind me of the two. But
Yeah.
Why did I say yes to this podcast? Because for me, I like talking. I like talking about different stuff, and you're one of those people who I would spend an hour or 30 minutes or 45 minutes on a podcast for your brand and my brand too.
Yeah.
So I just think you're a valuable person within this ecosystem.
Thank you so much.
What's the second question?
What was the experience like, even when we went live until today? What was the experience like on the podcast, being on it?
My experience is always the same. Productive, enjoyable, and like having a conversation of somebody of the same caliber is actually motivating and refreshing for me because like I love talking about different stuff, whether it's emotional, whether it's business, whether it's productivity. It's just good to talk about stuff. You know, it's good to open up your perspective and discuss things that need to be discussed and brand yourself in a way you need to be branded. So,
and the
I
third,
think this podcast is actually good productivity for my brand and your brand as well.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's so dope that we can have like a same level of conversation and then record it, because I remember somewhere reading a joke, but it's like the most honest thing is like every conversation is potentially a podcast. We just are not recording it.
Yeah, keep podcast.
Yeah. And the third question was, what do you think I could have done to improve it?
To be honest, I really don't think anything needs to be improved.
Really?
Yeah, you're here, I'm here, we're talking. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know,
No, it's not about
podcasts
perfect.
don't
I
have to
feel
be
like I
perfect.
asked like on the questions I touch on, they're kind of the similar questions, but all of them are like, I wouldn't say so profound, but a question like, are you happy? What's your story? They're kind of similar questions that I touch on everyone, because those questions are very open-ended. So you could start with your journey, and then once you start talking about your story, we could pick up on things. So I always try to take feedback with like, are these questions working? Was there anything that you expected that could have been like a better question, or that sort of a thing?
I don't expect anything. I don't have any like expectations of anything. I'm here, we're having a conversation, we're talking, you're understanding me, I'm understanding you, making content, and that's about it. You know, I'm not disappointed or regarded of anything, and I answered my questions, and I'm here. I'm present. I'm present in the present moment.
That is amazing. So I wanted to thank you so much for saying yes and hopping on the podcast. And
Words.
let me know if I can do anything to add value in the future. I would be absolutely down for it, because you coming on means a ton. And
Sure.
speak to you soon. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
Of course. See you later. Yep.
Bye.
Have a good one, Harry.
Thank you.